Well, Universal and Disney both want your money this summer. Who's offering you the better value to get into their parks? We're going to talk about that. May the 4th went down yesterday. So many things happened this week. We're going to cover it all tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for May the 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for being with us, as always, on your Sunday night. Don't forget that if you have not already, subscribe to WDWNT TV for more great content, and also make sure that you give us a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. The crew for this evening, starting with Stephanie. How are you?
Hola. Ignite the spark.
Allie.
Hello, I'm concerned this is not going to work.
And Desi.
For the order. Happy Revenge of the 5th.
I figured if I had given some space there that maybe you wouldn't have thrown that out there. Golly jeepers. Okay. Yesterday was May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. The official Star Wars holiday. Very strange that it is, but it is the official Star Wars holiday, and a lot of stuff went down at Disney parks around the country. By the way, I have to give a shout out to Universal Studios for their social. They had a picture of #ThePanda in the Jimmy Fallon building waving, and he said, "I have the high ground." And I thought, how perfect to get in on someone else's holiday without really getting in on someone else's holiday. That was that's just perfect. So whoever's doing their social over there, God bless you. You're doing great stuff. Speaking of great stuff, they had new wishables yesterday. I know that Allie and I had some conversations about this. Rise of the Resistance wishables came out, which is very exciting. They also have new merch that came out. So this stuff doesn't look like it's necessarily just for Star Wars Day. But this stuff was for the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, which actually was in theaters this weekend and did really well at the box office. There was a lot of stuff that went down, some plastic and collectibles that we're going to talk about. But I'm going to go to Allie on this one first, because you were out there beating the streets, out there in Disneyland, facing the crowds. How was May the 4th? Was it the celebration that we deserve?
It was the celebration that we deserved. It did seem a little less chaotic on the Disneyland side than what our Florida counterparts were dealing with. I got there a little after 7. They had opened a trading post in downtown Disney 2 hours early. So people that maybe didn't have a park ticket, or a lot of the Magic Keys were blocked out, so you were able to just casually walk in there at 7 a.m. They had all the merchandise very, very well stocked. They also opened WOD an hour early, so you could also grab all of your merchandise there. I went into the park. It wasn't too chaotic. Picked up my Galactic Girl order with the all-important plastic things. There's a new cup, the new Stormtrooper bucket. Went to Oga's at about 8:30 in the morning. Got the new Lothcat mug. Made some new friends. I will say Oga's was a little busier than it usually is that early. I do not want to talk about why I know how busy Oga's usually is at 8 a.m. That's a conversation for a different day. The only thing that was pretty chaotic was getting into Doc Ondar's. That line was probably about 200 deep. So they did have a cart out that had the new Kyber crystal and a couple of the other things out with a pricing list. So if you did want to see that or get any of those things, you did have to wait in that very long line. But we had a couple new food items. I don't think Florida got that, but some new food items, tons of merchandise, and looked like a really good day across the board. They had all the characters out. People were fully dressed, lightsabers galore. It was good. I thought they did a good job.
Okay. Let's talk about the plastic, because everybody has said this is the best popcorn bucket of all time.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sharp. But also, there's this thing which I don't care for.
No,
I feel
don't either. It's actually large too.
We're gonna make this sipper. We're gonna call it Star Wars, and you're gonna buy it. No, not this time. And then, of course,
this is amazing.
The beautiful Lothcat tiki mug, and you have your hands on one of these for me, right? Is that?
I do.
Just need to make
yours
sure.
is.
Okay, cool.
Yours is sitting upstairs. They thought they were going to sell out yesterday. I don't know if they did or not. Because when I first saw that photo, I thought it was going to be plastic. So then when we went into Oga's and they actually gave me the drink, I was like, oh, wait, this is like an actual like tiki mug like the rest of them. So I was super pleasantly surprised.
Okay, well, we're going to go a little extra innings on this one because, of course, it was
Yeah.
May the 4th, and I'll come to Desi in a second. But the Star Wars virtual queue at Disney Hollywood Studios was closed. That one, I'm just like, I don't know if there was an equivalent that happened out in California about that. They don't
Nope.
do VQ for shopping out there. That's great.
Nope.
Good for them. But this happened at Stage One, which is the Muppet Store, which is never open. When we'll talk about the 35th in a second, which apparently they put up a bunch of stuff for 35th, ripped it down, put up a bunch of Star Wars stuff, and like they made that's the secret shop, I guess. But Desi, you were out on the East Coast with some of the Wigs members and hanging out, and was your experience?
It was absolute madness. It was crazy town. I think everyone on this side of the United States who even remotely liked Star Wars showed up. It was so jam-packed, but it was also really cool. I had never seen so many lightsabers all in one place at the same time before. That was a lot of fun. I'm really upset that we did not have the Loth Cat option here because I probably would have gone through the effort of getting it. Doc Ondar's here as well. Ridiculous line. I did not bother with. We couldn't even get past Doc Ondar's to get to that area near the Millennium Falcon. They told us it was at capacity. We could not walk in that direction. And the only reason I was able to even get past Doc Ondar's to go in that direction was because I happened to have food waiting for me at Docking Bay 7. So they let me in to go get my food. It was craziness, but I did go to Stage 1 and I got my May the 4th, 2004 pin. I didn't see anything else that really stood out to me at Stage 1. I wish that they had some of the other stuff that I couldn't even get into shop that I wanted to in Galaxy's Edge. I wanted to get the Spiro coin. I wanted to get Chrysanthemum, who has replaced Chewbacca as my favorite Wookiee, or Wookiee, I think we're saying now. Yeah, Cad Bane would have been cool too, but I'm disappointed that it was so crowded that I couldn't even shop. I want to give you my money, Disney, but I get it. All the other Star Wars fans were there, and it was so much fun to be in that environment with everybody else who loves Star Wars. I think you're muted, Rob.
Muted.
Yep, muted.
I was a perfect storm. One more? Can somebody else say it? No? Okay, cool. No, but thank you. What I was saying is I think it was a perfect storm because it was May the 4th on a Saturday. And so, I think everybody raced out there to get everything. And like, I already have a Jedi holocron. Do I need the new one? Do I need the new Kyber crystals? The new Kyber crystals are just a little better. It's almost like I'm trading in my iPhone for the next version. It just seems like something that I'm not sure I need. Stephanie, before we move on from this one, any thoughts on May the 4th?
I think it's just a missed opportunity for WDW. Like, where in the world are you guys? Disneyland has Disneyland After Dark, Star Wars version. We used to have Star Wars nights and everything. Why don't they do that? I mean, that's Desi says, give me the opportunity to give you my money, right? Like, I think that they would totally sell out even if they did it like Disneyland does it for about a month or two, right, Allie? It's a couple of months long.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going on Tuesday.
I was about to say, Season of the Force is even different from that. I actually have on your tag here, Allie, like too much Star Wars, because I wonder, like, is there such a thing when it comes to Disney? Because you were there for Season of the Force, you came back for May the 4th, you're going to be there for Star Wars night. Are you over it? I don't think. Are you still hanging in?
I'm not really I'm not a hardcore Star Wars fan. I mean, I got the Spirit jersey, a pair of ears, but like I do what I want, enough of it, and then when I get a little tired of it, I go do Pixar Fest or go do something else.
That's good. One last thing I wanted to bring up before we move on from this topic is that, and poor Patrick's not here, but that Chopper was making an appearance finally on the East Coast. Because we always talk about, like you were just saying about like the Lothcat, we don't always get that stuff on the East Coast. But he was at Star Wars Launch Bay. Like, why? Like, doesn't he appear on the West Coast at Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah, all
I
the
didn't
time.
even think to go to Launch Bay.
Maybe it was a crowd control situation.
Could have been. Like, that's why he was there, is because Desi didn't think to go to Launch Bay. So, yep. So next time they say, where are the droids that you're looking for? They're in Launch Bay because we can't have them in Galaxy's Edge, apparently. That's just a thing that we do. So it was a huge celebration week. As a matter of fact, and the business that I work in radio, we were celebrating everything. We were celebrating the fact that it was May the 4th and that it was Derby, Kentucky Derby, and it's Cinco de Mayo today, and we had a big country festival. And, then, of course, we had Studios Day, which was Wednesday, which, again, it's on a Wednesday. Some people... we won't name names, but some people are in the business that they can just go to Hollywood Studios on a random Wednesday and hang out for a while and call it, reporting, which is great. I love that for them. However, we didn't get to go do that. I did 5 years ago. I was there for our big event that we have is WDW&T Stage 89, and I was there for the 30th. And at the 30th, it was they had the stage 1 shop open, and everybody waited in line. There wasn't virtual queue yet, and then we got in there and bought stuff. Then we went back into in front of the Chinese theater. They had a big stage set up, and they did a presentation there. This time they had a presentation, which is good, but the presentation was in the Theater of the Stars. And I feel like it was kind of last minute that they announced that this thing was happening, and so they put it in Theater of the Stars. It was very similar to the Epcot 40th that they did at the America Gardens, but this one was a 17-minute glorious presentation, which included the Muppets, and so that was there. And then they also had some press pennies for those who partake in those, and then they had some merchandise, which, as we mentioned, at Stage 1. And then they had this park map, which I always love collecting these. But when we were there for the 30th, it was a park map and a poster. But now, wait, the park map is the poster. Ooh. The way that worked out. Stephanie, how come you didn't fly to Orlando for the opening or for the 35th anniversary? Is this a big enough anniversary, or like... or should we only celebrate on the 25s and the 50s?
No, I think that you should do every, 5 to 10 years. I think that's a good time. And it's always a good idea to put out some more merch. I don't know. I think that if I were to go, I would go for Stage 89, but not necessarily for this one particular thing. 17 minutes long, not that long. Sorry, guys, that's pretty sad. I think it seemed like a leftover from Jollywood Nights because they already had everything set up. They could just move it in. And the end with the ribbons and everything is just from, Fantasmic, which is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I love the Fantasmic Riverboat, but,
That's why I wonder if it feels like it may have been like, wait a minute, the 35th, that's this Wednesday? Oh, yeah, we should probably do something about that. Because, again, WDW&T had a huge event. Stage 89 brought in all of the Imagineers that created the original Studios Park. Bob Weiss was there. It was a big event. So hopefully, for those of you who were there celebrating, either you're there with us now, or you join us later, and I hope you had a good time there. But it does seem like, and I know Desi, you're at least a drive away, and this one wasn't enough to make you decide to go there, right?
No, I mean, it was on a Wednesday. I work. If I'm going to go through the effort of taking time off work, when I live in Florida and I can just go on the weekend, plus I was planning on going for May the 4th anyways, I'd rather take that day off and go to Tokyo.
Like Tokyo dining, or like the actual Tokyo? I mean,
like the actual
Shikisai,
Tokyo.
sorry. Yeah, Tokyo dining no longer exists anymore. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, it's sad. Hang on a second. So we're going to talk about something, and when I say we, I feel like we'd all like to talk about it. I mentioned this at the top of the hour, that Universal versus Disney, and sometimes we feel like as fans that they're exactly the same. And sometimes, you have to stop and think, okay, wait a minute, Disney has 26 hotels in Orlando and 4 theme parks and 2 water parks and this huge company history. And they've given us something which is nostalgia, right? Like we have nostalgia for all of these properties. And so, Universal's a little bit different, and it's kind of, I don't know, bookended as the grown-ups park. But I was looking through what was happening this summer. They just announced some big stuff coming for Universal, and I was a little flabbergasted. Can I use that word? Is that okay to use on YouTube? Flabbergasted? Yeah. That they were trying so hard, because I feel like you guys have Epic Universe coming. You can tell us every couple of weeks, or basically, I guess, every month, what the next portal is, and I'm going to ooh and ah over everything that you guys are doing. They didn't just say, you know what, let's just keep it at that. They're like, hey, we're going to actually do a lot of stuff this summer, including this Universal Mega Movie Parade. An actual land is opening up. There's a new Hogwarts Castle show, which will have 4 different endings, and this sensational symphonic spectacular nighttime show. And I'm looking at that going, damn, Gina, that's a lot of stuff. And so I before I kind of let you guys comment on this, I put together this, I spared no expense. I threw together this slide. So we at Disney, and I say we because I feel like we're Disney people. Dreams That Soar, the new drone show, is coming to Springs May 24th. Communicore Hall finally opens on June 10th. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is TBD for TBA, and then Country Bears returning. Both those things are they're refurbishments, basically. They're not really brand new, right? These are things that already existed, whereas Dreamworks Land is also a retheme, but it's a brand new land for them. They have a new parade, they have this new castle show, and they have a new nighttime show. But when I said nostalgia, we are very nostalgic for the things that they're talking about now. Ghostbusters and Jaws and King Kong and all of these things. And I know that this one's still salty about Back to the Future, but there's a lot of, they really are leaning into this stuff now. And Stephanie, is this enough to make you take some of that Disney time or money and spend an extra day, maybe 2, at Universal this summer?
Actually, yes, because I really love the parade idea. I really do. I mean, of course, they could have the DeLorean just kick everything off and drive down the road and open it up. That would be great. But yeah, I really love the idea of all the different movie, things that they're going to put in there. Jaws, like you're talking about, E.T. My kids are just getting old enough to where they can watch some of these movies and not be, scared out of their minds, and that, so they're actually understanding what they're seeing, and that's really fun too. And you get to experience it with them. And I love the idea that there's 4 different endings to the Hogwarts show. I think that's really cool because that's rewatchability, right? Because you've seen, the castle show at, now don't get me wrong, I love Happily Ever After. I'll watch that a lot, but and I'll cry every time. But you already know, you've already seen it, and I like the idea that you can see something and watch it 4 different times and see a different ending every time. So I think that what they're doing is great. I have read some different information, different sources, that Tiana's might be opening Juneteenth.
That would be the most amazing thing ever on so many levels. One, obviously, the significance of Juneteenth. Secondly, that we don't know. Usually it's like, hey, we've decided when it's opening, and get ready, it's in 8 months. But, they've told us summer, so, man, that would be a big win for them. Yeah. Before we move on from this one other thing about this is that Universal seems to understand that the things that they used to have were awesome. like the tribute stores and I'm looking at this Visa lounge that they have here, and they're we have a bunch of pictures of this on Universal Parks News today, but I'm going through all the stuff in this, and it's your typical lounge where you have places to recharge and you have bathrooms. There's pictures here, and it's like, okay, here's the Jaws ride. Here's the Nickelodeon, Jimmy Neutron. Here's the Back to the Future ride. Here's the Monsters Cafe. And it's like, yes, we did love those things. Why did you kill them? Like,
right.
I mean, Desi, I know again you're pretty salty about Back to the Future, and so I think you
I
probably
am.
you opt out of most things Universal, but you've got to have an opinion about this, right?
There is nothing in here that is going to make me want to go to Universal this summer. Um, I I think the only DreamWorks movie I can even think of off the top of my head that I have even seen is Shrek. So that doesn't entice me. There's nothing, I'm not a Harry Potter person. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in any of this. You bring Back to the Future and I will get rid of my Disney annual pass and I will buy a
Oh,
Universal annual pass tomorrow.
Whoa.
Um,
oh,
yeah,
wow.
but let's see if that ever happens. My husband, on the other hand, is super excited for Nintendo World and is like, let's get Universal passes as soon as that gets here. And I'm still anti doing that, but we'll see. Maybe he'll just take our kids to Universal and I'll take them to Disney. We'll see how that works out.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, speaking of, again, Epic has, Universal has done a great job with teasing us. There's this, they'll put this date on social and they'll say, hey, tune in tomorrow, and they did it on 5/2. They didn't do it on 5/1. Is that a classy move, or did they just not care? I don't know, but they did it on 5/2, and they announced the next portal, which we know most of this, right? This is the Super Nintendo World portal, because a lot of this is already in existence either in Japan or in Hollywood. So, we've already got this ride, the Mario Kart ride, but they did a fly through that included the Donkey Kong Country. But I was really shocked, and Stephanie, I'll throw this one back to you. Is I was really shocked. Did you see the fly through? Yes, no?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so I'm watching the fly through and I'm like, where is this Donkey Kong coaster going to be? And the way that they've got it tucked back in its own sort of subland, I was really impressed with that. But again, I mean, so Desi's
I
husband's
love
taking
that.
the kids. Are you excited about Epic for you and your family?
Yes, actually, we're thinking about going to Hollywood first before Epic comes, just to be able to experience it. Yeah, the kids, have been into Nintendo. I mean, we grew up with Nintendo, obviously, but the kids have started really getting into it the past 4 or 5 years at least. And Donkey Kong, I mean, who hasn't played that one level where you're like, this should be a roller coaster, the minecart, where it jumps the track. And I love that it kind of keeps with the movie because that's a completely separate area when you're talking about, in the movie where he's trying to go traverse all the different worlds and everything. So I like that you go through its own little tunnel to get to the Donkey Kong area and reveal that. Yeah, exactly. That looks amazing. I'm so excited.
Well, I mean, again, I feel like, Allie, have you been? I mean, you're in California. It's not far
Mhm.
from you to go and hang out at Super Nintendo World. Have you even been there since they opened it?
Nope. Nope.
Awesome.
That is a horrible drive. Nope. Not doing it. I am excited for Donkey Kong Country though. That looks amazing. That's my childhood.
Wow. Wow. I actually did exactly what you're talking about, Stephanie, is the family and I went out to Disneyland and I was like, can we just actually it was my daughter's idea because she wanted to see Secret Life of Pets, but she's like, can we just do one day at Hollywood Studios and Universal Hollywood? And I was like, yep.
Mhm.
Yep, we could do that. And when we got there, we were late in the day, so we missed Toadstool Cafe. And then the land was actually closed due to capacity, and
Oh,
we were like, okay, so this is the only time we're going to be here, and we don't even get to go look at it. Um, but then we went and did the tram. It opened up. It was kind of great. So I think that Universal is really making some big moves, and we've been talking about this for a while. That we think that
Yeah.
Disney should respond. And people asked Bob Iger on the earnings call, like, how are you guys going to respond? And he's like, we have responded. What do you think this Epcot reimagining was about? We were getting ready for this. It's like, were you? Because also Velocicoaster, also Hagrid's motorbike,
Yeah.
also there's been a lot of stuff. The only thing about Universal that I'm questioning is this nighttime show, because while the one on Hogwarts looks great, the ones that I've seen around that little lagoon at the Studios park have kind of been can I say trash garbage? Can I say that? Like they don't seem to make any sense. It's like we know what projection mapping is. We're just going to use it and see what happens. It didn't really kind of seem to take there. So everything they're doing, they're going to use drones. They've got a whole thing worked out. I'm hoping that it's amazing, but I'm also hoping that Disney starts making some announcements soon. When are them bears coming back? That's what I want to know. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the annual pass holder, the VI pass holder program that they're doing starting May the 1st. And I think it was basically so that they could coax Desi over to Epcot while everyone else was hanging out for May the 4th. Is that basically what was going on there?
That is exactly what happened.
So Desi went over really just for the show tonight. She's just such a giver. She went over just for the show, and she was like,
I went over just to go shopping for you.
And how did that work out?
Didn't.
So here's the magic shot that Desi did as the Lilo and Stitch situation with the ice cream bar, and then
how cute is he?
It's so cute. Did you get a chance to go to the Passholder Lounge? And of course, you got your magnet, I assume.
I did get the magnet. Yes. No, I did not get a chance to go to the Passholder Lounge, mostly because I was searching every shop for a T-shirt for Rob that did not.
Wow.
That apparently had sold out.
Okay.
And then I had to get over to Hollywood Studios because it was May the 4th. But I'm sure I will get over to the Passholder Lounge at some point.
And
I got the Stitch cone. Look how freaking cute that cone is. And I appreciate that it was a cake cone and not an ice cream cone, because then you can get a picture with it. Because when it's ice cream, it melts immediately. It's almost impossible to get a picture of it. So I liked it. And it really tasted good too. But I like coconut. If you don't like coconut, maybe you wouldn't be into it. But I thought it was pretty good.
And of course, the magnet.
Look at that magnet. That's my favorite magnet. That's definitely going front and center on my refrigerator now.
Wait, not on your car? I thought. I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm completely
kidding.
Stolen. Nobody puts them on their car. That's ridiculous. Why would you do that? Unless you get a second one, and then maybe. But why would you do that?
Maybe.
Blasphemous, I know.
I should have picked them up for my kids, is what I should have done, just so I got 2 more of those Stitch magnets while I was there.
I feel like they fight you on that.
They do. If I didn't have my kids with me, that's why I didn't bother.
And like they're checking IDs, like grab somebody else's kids. I mean, I don't know. I mean, right? It's like, hey, sorry, these are my kids. Who knows? They can't question you on that, just like they can't question you when you say, hey, I have to go to Docking Bay to pick up food. You didn't have a food order. I'm just kidding.
I did. They did check my phone to make sure I had a food order.
Oh, they checked your phone. No way. That is there's the Disney magic. All right, let me ask Allie, like you're an AP in Orlando and you're a Magic Key holder in California. Even with these perks that are there, who wins for the perks for the pass holders?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like we get Florida gets early access to the events. I actually think Florida wins because they actually mail me my magnet. Like, not the Stitch magnet, but I just got yet another one of those yellow Mickey magnets that I now have about 5 of. But yeah, you guys have your special lounge with the air conditioning, and you get cute magnets every couple months. I think it's pretty comparable. I mean, we have a giant panda paw coming our way that I have to now get for Rob. But like, I don't know. I think it's comparable, but I feel like Florida is maybe just a little bit ahead right now.
Can we stop beating up on Rob? Can we stop that? Because honestly, I think Desi went to 2 stores because she said she would, and you said, do you want this stupid panda paw, is what you said to me. Do you want this stupid panda paw? And I said, of course I do. You know I do.
There's probably another word in there.
I went to 4 plus a kiosk.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah. And during AAPI month, what am I thinking? This is horrible. I should be doing things for you.
Insensitive. Mhm.
Yeah.
It's unreasonable, and you should take it no more. Let's go ahead and pick topics here, or change topics here. So there's a rumor that Disneyland, and I love when we start spreading rumors, but we must have substantiated this somewhere. Disneyland replacing the bride and the physical hitchhiking ghost. It's really funny that I just literally had this conversation with my son when we went to the haunted mansion at Disney Disney World the day that Allie it was in it and it broke down. We walked right over and got
God.
on. It was fantastic. So if that helps, I'm
Still
sure
mad.
it doesn't.
Still mad.
Yeah. So I was asking, and again, Allie, I'll throw this one to you first. Is that they've changed at the very end when the hitchhiking ghosts get there. They've made a CGI situation where they're there in the mirrors, but it's all CGI, and so like I think like Gus does a thing where he like switches your heads, and there's like it's a neat effect. But like the thing where they would come into view with Pepper's ghost, and they would go. Like they still do that.
Yeah.
That was good, right? They still do that at Disneyland. So, like, the people in Disneyland are more traditional than I think than on the East Coast. So, Allie, do you think that if this is a real thing, that people will riot?
I think we'll be okay. I mean, if I'm thinking back, I cannot remember the last time I've actually been on our haunted mansion as like regular haunted mansion. It's probably been like a year because we've had Nightmare Before Christmas, and then when they shut it down, it was still Nightmare Before Christmas. So I actually think the CGI at Florida is really cute. I think everybody here will be okay with that. And then I think fixing that bride situation because that was just kind of funky at ours. It's a little funky in Florida too, but as long as they're enhancing it, making it better, I'm totally good with it. Like, just we'll be all right. They'll be okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll
Stephanie,
get
your
through it.
thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I much prefer the Pepper's Ghost effect. I think it looks too cartoony at the end. And maybe that's what they're going for, like something just to kind of lighten the mood and let the kids not be super scared that the ghost is actually following them home. But I think I like physical sets and I like physical things. So yeah, I much prefer it if they would. And I like it to be different on each coast, right? I like you to have something to want to go and see on each one. But I don't like the bride at all in the attic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I do. I did. So I got to tell you, Desi, when I was probably the age of your boys, I pretty much I think was scared to death of the haunted mansion, and it was a simpler time, and my older brother was very mean. So that's either one of those things could have attributed that. But do your kids go on this attraction?
Yes, they do. And my younger one is a little bit scared of ghosts, but he's willing to go on it. I know that when I was that age, I was terrified at the end with the Pepper's Ghost ones. Maybe it's because they were a little creepy with the, whatever it was that you were doing with your head there. But when
don't try it on your own. It's experts only.
But my son thought it was really funny when the ghost turned my head into a balloon. And, when we got off the ride, he's like, "Oh, Mommy, I'm so glad your head is back to normal. Did you know that the ghost turned your head into a balloon? That was so funny." So I think that maybe for little kids, it makes it funny as opposed to scary.
Did you ever see Modern Family where Haley's kids they fell asleep while they had their kids in their arms, and when they woke up, the kids were watching a horror movie, like a slasher film?
No.
And then after that, anytime anybody got hurt, the little kids would laugh, and they're like, "Well, we've ruined our kids now." Like that's what that's making me think of. Like, "Ah, Mommy, your head got pulled off." Ah ha ha. That's awesome. No, I'm sure they're going to be fine. Even with your like for the order that you keep doing, that's great.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's
it
get
too.
in. Let's. I'm sure they do. Let's get into a little bit of a DVC update for those who celebrate the DVC. They've got some new Pandora charms, and of course the button-down shirt that everybody's been asking for. They finally decided to make that happen. but they also, wrong way, they also are making changes over at Fort Wilderness, and they're doing that to get ready for these cabins. And the cabins, as I'm looking at this, it occurs to me, this doesn't look like something that we're ready to move into in July, Stephanie. Like July, correct me if I'm wrong, July 1st is supposed to be the first bookings for this, right? They don't look like they're ready for this, do they?
But Rob, Disney does everything on time. What are you talking about?
Ah, yes, buddy told me about that.
Yeah, no, I really hope that the horseback riding comes back. I think that's one of the most unique things that you can do, apart from the parasailing and everything that used to go on back around the Bay Lake area and the Contemporary. And they don't have that anymore. And I just wish that Disney would continue to add instead of subtract activities. So, Walt Disney World at least. So, yeah, I hope that that comes back and it opens up fairly close to on time, maybe.
Well, of course, because everything happens on time. And for my fans of the Polynesian down here, Desi and Allie, this thing, it won't be too long. Look how close this is to being done. It won't be too long before this thing is finally move-in ready. But so here's the thing about this one is that despite what you may think of it, this thing does not look like it's going to be ready based on how long it took them to open Tron. This doesn't look like it's going to be ready by the end of the year, and this is supposed to be ready by the end of the calendar year. So I mean, again, I'm a little bit nervous about this one being done on time, even though I think for the two of you, you would hope for it to just fall in on itself. Is that right, Allie? Is
Burn
that
it
what you're
down.
hoping for?
Burn
Yeah.
it down. That thing
Okay.
is hideous. Burn that thing to the ground. Start
I,
over. Horrible.
I
Not a
mean,
fan.
it's actually almost done. Look, it's almost done. There it is right there, ready for
Look
prime
at
time.
that. It is horrible. That is ridiculous.
You just don't get Polynesian
Horrible.
culture. This is going to be beautiful.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Desi, what do you think?
When we went by this the other day in the monorail, and I told my husband, "Oh my God, look at this travesty! They should have just made it look like Aulani." He says,
Yes.
"Oh, well,
Yes.
maybe they're just
Yes.
maybe they're just not done with it. Maybe they haven't updated the decor." And I'm like, "You obviously haven't seen the concept art for this. This is what it's going to look like." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, that doesn't look Polynesian at all." So yeah,
It
implode.
looks like the Holiday Inn down the street from me. Like, what is going on?
It's
The Holiday Inn
it
near
doesn't.
down the street from you. It's
Somewhere
fairly
that
close
looks like
to,
it belongs
to
in
Hawaii.
Orange County
It's fairly
somewhere.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home 2
It looks like
Suites
a
by Hilton.
hotel off the 5 freeway. I can't with this. Like, get rid of it.
You know what? I just like to bring it up every now and then just to torment people. But honestly, though, I do look at those cabins and I go, how are they going to have those ready by the beginning of July? It just doesn't seem like it's going to. It makes sense that that'll be ready. What is ready? And I'm sure that y'all are making your reservations now. Is the Up House, which this is a lot of trouble to go to recreate the Up House. But they did. They put it in the middle of nowhere, and they bring it up. And then we also have the X-Men. This is Airbnb is providing these. I've seen a lot of influencers online this week in the X-Men house, which looks very cool. And it's the 2D, and I think we talked a little bit about the 2D, Stephanie, when we were talking about our X-Men on Deep in the Plus. But as they're lifting up, and if you watch the video, it's kind of amazing as they're lifting the house up. And it leaves the ground, immediately I'm like, shouldn't there be a way? How do you get water and electricity up to this thing? Because I'm going to need, if you're going to lock me up in that thing for a while, I'm going to need some plumbing. Or not.
How you, get to stay on this day or whatever. So it's not like you can just go and pick your day. And so it's a little hard to get. But I looked at the pictures, and yes, they have gotten the detail phenomenally, like to the T with this, so much so that I'm crying a little bit as I look through Carl's like medicines and his
Yeah.
on his sink and things like that. It feels a little too personal. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep in his and Carl and Ellie's bed. It's weird.
You're going through Carl's medicine cabinet. That's That's the adventure everybody wanted to be on. And please understand, I know this is not PC. This is not parks related. But it is. It is to me because this is an adventure that you're going on, very similar to teeing it up for Desi, very similar to the Star Cruiser in the Living Your Adventure. However, if they're going to bring a cast of characters up, they're like with me in this house, and there's going to be like Kevin and Doug and Russell, and they're going to be hanging out, waiting in the closet, waiting to jump out whenever I want to live my adventure. I'm here for it. Let's do it. Desi, what do you think about this thing?
Um, yeah, I don't know how this is living your adventure unless they're going to let you bring your dog along and give you a collar, and they just have somebody there like speaking into a little microphone pretending to be your dog, like, hello, I love you, whatever it is that Doug would say. um so it really does kind of feel like you're just creeping in on Carl and Ellie's house. I know I live in my grandparents' old house. After they passed away, I moved into this house. And before we remodeled it, and I was just like living in my grandparents' house, it was a little weird. It felt like I'm taking over their property, and like it felt a little haunted, to be honest. And now that I've remodeled it and it doesn't feel necessarily like my grandparents' house anymore, I don't feel like it's haunted. But knowing that Ellie has passed, Carl was of a certain age, the voice actor has passed, maybe it would feel a little bit like you're living in a haunted house. I don't know. I didn't think about that until until she was mentioning the medicines and everything.
So living your grandparent adventure, like the adventure of being locked in your grandparents' house and suspended without a bathroom. That's really how that works, I guess. I don't know. It's, again, when I saw it online, I went, that is really cool. But also, that's where you're going to spend your vacation money if that's a thing that you can get into, as you said, Stephanie. It does feel a little Cinderella sweet only for the 1%, but the X-Men house also looks pretty amazing with all the 2D animation and the like fake barbells and all that stuff that's in there. So, and then there's also an Inside Out house, which we don't have a preview of what that's going to be. So I guess in that one, you live inside a teenage girl's brain. Is that?
Oh, that's weird. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So let's move on. I love the fact that Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. Everybody get used to saying that. Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. Castaway Key, easy enough. Lookout Key at Castaway at Lighthouse Point. See, I can't even do it, and I'm freaking reading it right now. So this is actually, I'm excited about this because Castaway Key is my favorite part of a Disney cruise. I love that. They showed off a lot of stuff about what's going to be there with shows, new characters, or the character outfits, new merchandise, which I have to say something about in a second. There's a map of what the area is going to be looking like. There's the food that they're going to have at Lighthouse Point, and then also a construction update on what's going on there. And it's funny to me because I feel like and Stephanie, I'll throw this one to you first, and we'll go around and let everybody talk about this one. But I feel like it shouldn't, once the island has been like settled and formed, like throwing up some tarps and canopies shouldn't take a ton of time. But I think this opens in the fall. So I don't know if you do cruises, if you're planning on going. What are your thoughts on all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is definitely catch a cruise that's going to go to both Castaway and Lighthouse. Like, don't just do one or the other. Try to get the one that does both. But yeah, I love Castaway. I think that it has a lot of great options, like the Stingray encounter, the floating slide. I can't remember what it's called. So hopefully Lighthouse has these similar things. Of course, the big draw is always the adults only side of the island where it's really quiet and the food is better. So if you can do that, that's great. Leave the kids in the kids area. But yeah, I think that it's good. It's great that Disney was able to do this as long as they're adhering to cultural and standards for the area and everything. So yeah, I'm excited about this. I think it's a good addition to their Caribbean.
Okay. Before I move on to the rest of you, I want to stop and say we have a couple super chats. CK Barry, who, by the way, we missed last week, and I apologize for that greatly. You know when you ride on Southwest and they go, "Sorry, we didn't give you your drinks this time. We'll catch you on the next one," which doesn't make any sense because they're not giving me 2 next time. So CK Barry, thank you for the super chat last week. I appreciate it. We have another one. Great dress Desi. I had Lilo running dress for the Disneyland run. Lilo and Stitch rock, but Nani and David are the heroes and steal my heart. And thank you for that one. We appreciate it. And then Jungle Cruiser said, Allie, did you see the destruction in Critter Country? I guess I'm assuming the shop and all the changes they're making for Tiana. Also, what about the Big Owl by Grizzly River Run? I did see that on social media. Did you go and get a picture with that one?
Yeah, I dropped all of that in our Disneyland channel. So I don't think they ran the article yet. Yeah, so we took the train. Critter Country is completely blocked off, and they're going to town on that. And then, yeah, they put Big Al over by Grizzly River Run, and then we figured out he's actually Magic Band activated. So there was about 6 or 7 different things he would kind of sing or talk to you. Like, it's really cool. Like, we stood there for like 10 minutes just waving our Magic Band, and we had a crowd around us, and everybody was filming it. It was cool.
That's crazy. Again, this thing popped up online, and it's just a wood carving of Big Al over at Grizzly River.
Yeah, he's
and
huge.
It just,
so I mean,
and it's like, who, how? Okay, all right, I'm
why
here
not?
for it.
Why wouldn't we get that?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's seeing all the changes to Critter Country, I feel like Critter Country feels less and less like Critter Country and more like more New Orleans Square.
Yeah, it's happening. Yep. It's all happening.
It's all happening. So let's just like squeeze it between Star Wars and New Orleans Square and just do that. And we'll have just Winnie the Pooh. It will be kind of like Muppets is just like in that Grand Avenue area. We'll just have like, just one, like we'll call it Pooh Corner. Done. We did it.
Yeah.
We made it happen.
Oh, look, it's already there.
Yeah. Desi, do you cruise? And just let's talk about Lookout. Anything you want to talk about before we move on from Lookout Key?
I do cruise. The food looks great. That food looked beautiful and delicious. I'm not super into the merchandise. It's a little busy, a little loud for me. But maybe if you're into that kind of thing, I don't know. It's not my thing. It's a bit much for me.
I'm trying to wrap my head around like this one in particular. This is clearly Mickey Mouse turned into what? Like the Beetle from Blue Beetle? I don't know if it's flattened out. It's very, very intricate and interesting. I don't know what it's
I guess
trying
it's a Bahamian
to be.
thing.
And then
It's it's part of the culture that they do. Like the day after Christmas, they have a big parade and they dress up like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works. Allie, any thoughts before we move on from this one?
No, someday maybe I'll do a cruise. It looks cool. I like beaches and swimming.
I was about to say someday, as if
it.
you don't already go to, haven't been to Alani more than anybody else here probably. Right?
Yeah, I tend to go that way instead of a cruise, so.
It's fine. Let's talk about transportation because there was a time when there was this thing called the Magical Express. I don't know if you guys heard about it or not, but it was a all-included transportation magical way for you to get from MCO, which is not all that magical, to the Disney Resort, and they would take care of your bags, and it was included, and there were the signs, and it was like this big welcome thing, and then they were like, you know what, let's not do that anymore. And it's like, find your own way here. So now, there was, I think it was, Brightline was going to have a station that went all the way to Disney Springs, and they're like, nah, we're not going to do that. And now Sunrail, or is it vice versa? Sunrail's the new one, right? Yeah, so there's going to be a train at some point, we assume, that's going to go to Disney Springs. But even that is kind of a pain. And now there's a Lynx bus that will take you. It takes 1 hour to get you there because it stops at basically everywhere on its way there. So I don't know. I feel like, Stephanie, you have some thoughts on this because I feel like you were probably one of the people who was a little bit ruffled when they got rid of the Magical Express, or am I wrong on that?
No, the Magical Express was the best way to start your vacation. Absolutely. Because they showed you all the promos. They got, pulled at the heartstrings. They had, Mickey and Goofy shorts that they would play, and they had trivia, and they would say, "This is what you're about to see at Hollywood Studios. Look at our newest edition." And, it really got you excited for what you were about to go do for the next week. And it's just terrible and of course it was free, and that was the best thing. Who cared if you were sitting on there and watching goofy cartoons for 45 minutes and you could have just been off the bus in 15? That's fine. But yeah, I don't really like the idea of this train, because I don't know where it's going to go at Disney Springs. Like, where's the station going to be, and how big is it going to be? I don't know. But yeah,
but
I know.
You'll get off like you with your luggage, like you just made it to Hollywood, and
Yep.
or New York City for your big break, and you're like, now I got to carry these bags and put them on a Disney bus to go.
You've got to go find your bus to your hotel. Yeah. And then you're going to be
Yeah.
there another 15 to 30 minutes driving over. So yeah, I mean, the whole
Ugh.
process is going to take you close to 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, so then this Lynx bus is only $2, and I'm like, that's great. That's great for people who are trying to save money, and you have $2. But again, it takes you to Disney Springs, which then means you have to get transportation. But let's take a look at this route. Wow. Okay. So, Allie, this looks a lot like that 10K we ran. You go and you start at Orlando International Airport, and then you go to the Sunrail station, and then there's a Florida Mall super stop. Universal, which you might as well just get off there because they've got a lot of stuff going on. And then, it goes all the way. So Disney Springs is at the end, but it's a $2 trip, which is great. But again, how do they take care of your bags and all those other things? And if I have a double jogger stroller, how is that kind of situation going to work out for me too? So, I don't know. I don't know. I just wish they had a better system for transportation.
Yeah.
Allie, when I go down, I rent a car. Do you use Uber, or how do you get there?
We love the Magical Express, but now I use sometimes the Pete Carney Express, depending on what time we land. That's also a magical experience. Or sometimes it's easier just grab an Uber. It's like $40 and it takes 30 minutes. Like, I'm sorry, I'll spend the $30 to get my hour and a half back and not have to deal with all that. Yeah, I don't want to stand at Disney Springs with my stuff waiting for a bus that may or may not come in 20 minutes, as they continue to tell me it will be there soon. No, just, yeah, I can't with that.
When you land at MCO, either get the Lynx bus, the rail, or call Pete Carney. Is that basically, those are the best ways to get there?
That's where I'm at, yep.
I've been doing it all wrong, because I bet you that he has Goofy cartoons playing in the car on the way there.
He does. He has magical music, and sometimes he has beverages. Like, it all works out. It's great.
Foot baths. Yeah, never call Nick's Maxi Van. Don't ever do that, though.
No.
All right, let's move on from that topic, and we'll talk about the Storybook Canal Boats. This is one of my favorite attractions, no lie, at Disneyland, is the Storybook Canal Boats, because it's such a throwback attraction. And this is where we get back into the nostalgia. Like, from a capacity standpoint, doesn't have a huge capacity. I don't really know what's happening with that. Like, special guest. Is there a Mandalorian in your room, Jesse? Should we call the police?
Hunter vacuuming.
Should we call the police?
I don't know what he's doing. He just decided right now is a good time to vacuum.
If you need help, let us know. I don't know if we're going to be able to get back from this. So, anyway, like I said, Storybook Canal Boats, it's great if you haven't done it before. Although, as a larger American, it sometimes makes me feel a little weird when they're like, ooh, the balance issue here on the boat. You're going to need to sit over there. It's like, we're a little heavy on that side. Ma'am, could you throw your children on this side? That'd be great. Thanks. But there are additional scenes that they're adding to the one in Paris, which I didn't even realize they had one in Paris. But the Up House, again, that's great. There's a lot of things they could do with this one with the Up House, adding that to Disneyland. So they have the Cave of Wonders, I guess, that you go through instead of going through Monstro. But when you look at this, Allie, are you thinking, hey, like, when can we get that out at California, or is there just no room?
No, I think we definitely have room for it. I think that looks really cute. That's a really nice addition. That's something a little bit newer that kids would understand more so than some of the older stuff that we at least have. I haven't watched the Paris ride through, but I think that looks super cute and there's definitely space for it.
Yeah. I don't know, Stephanie, have you ever done that attraction in California?
In California, yes. I've never been to Paris, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a cute attraction. I like it. Monstro, that's great.
Yeah, and it's like you have the person, and
Right.
it's like the Jungle Cruise. Only you have to pay attention to what they're saying. Um, and that's how Aladdin got to dance. So it's great. But again, it's a lot of fun.
Classic.
I would highly recommend it if you go there. Only problem with it, the only problem that I would say, other than maybe adding some newer stuff like we were just talking about here to the one in California, is the queue. The queue is
Yes.
barbaric. It is
Yes.
like this much room with the switchback, and it's like I don't know. It's just it's a tough one. I feel like so.
You do that early. Like if you're gonna do it, like rope drop that.
Yeah. Also, don't do it at night. Some of the things are lit up, but it's not enough to matter. You really want to do it during the day. They do actually have it open at night, but I found out the hard way because my wife wanted to ride it again, and we did it at night, and I lost. I did. That was bad. That was don't ever do that. Learn from my mistakes. All right, so let's move on to this one that George W. Bush, after graduating from the office of president. Is that what you do? You graduate from office of president. He took up painting, and he has these paintings that he has done, which are going to be on display. It's called Portraits of Courage. It's an exhibit that is, existed somewhere else, but it's going to be on display at Epcot. So again, Hogwarts Four Endings or 60 pictures drawn by the president of the United States. No, honestly, this is a very cool thing to me because I love when they switch out the stuff in the American Adventure. That's where it's going to be portrayed in their gallery there. Stephanie, is this something that you would just pop in and go see? Obviously not something you're going to go out of your way to go see, but this shows up June 9th. Is this something you would swing by and see?
Yeah, I hope they keep it a little bit longer because I think that it is, he paints the fallen heroes, he paints, veterans. And so I think that that's a really nice thing to honor. And yeah, he's not too bad, not too shabby, not too great, but he's not too bad either.
Did you just say he's not too great? Okay. All right. Stay where you are.
He's
The
better
Secret
than I
Service,
would
yes,
be.
is on their way to your house right now. So, yeah.
Better than I would be, for sure.
I mean, I loved the jazz, the jazz exhibit that they did after Soul came out, and that was kind of cool. And there's been some Native American exhibits that they've had in there, so I love that there's something else. It's a great experience to go into the American Adventure. I think it's one of those things that we all kind of like. We used to do it, or your parents made you do it, and so you don't do it, or whatever, or you just like 35 minutes of air conditioning as Golden Dreams plays. That may be your thing. I don't know, but. I always appreciate like going and revisiting things like that. So let's move on since we're starting to run out of time because tomorrow is halfway to Halloween. And that somehow at some point in our lives became a thing, like May the 4th is halfway to Halloween. But again, celebration after celebration after celebration is happening. And a lot of us look forward to that. I could see the smile on Stephanie's face about it because I know she loves Halloween. And I could see the frown on Allie's face because she's like, what fresh hell will I have to cover
Exactly.
with this? So what are you expecting for halfway to
How much
Halloween,
plastic?
Allie?
Oh, I think we're gonna finally get release dates for both of the Halloween parties on both coasts. I would just love to know when I can book my Oogie Boogie Bash tickets. I think we already released when Disneyland is starting, but oh my God, I feel like there's gonna be so much plastic. There was so much plastic last year, and there's gonna be more. Oh, yeah, I'm slightly terrified, but I really just want my Oogie Boogie Bash dates and when I can purchase my tickets. And please, for the love of God, let me order my tickets early with my Inspire key. Please. I need to go. It's so good.
No one's listening. Stephanie.
I'm listening. I'm trying to get the
What?
tips for going
I
out
will
there
help
in
you get
September.
tickets. I will help you, Stephanie. I will
Yay.
help.
Thank you, Allie.
Yes.
No, I love this. I love that you can celebrate it in May, which historically has been kind of a low season month for Walt Disney World. And I think that, it always sells out, or at least it has the past couple of years, for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and October, and really starting in August, honestly. They start it very early now. So I think it's great. I think it's a nice little, like, get you ready for the 100-degree weather and fall leaves.
I don't know what you're talking about with the plastic alley. This was amazing.
You don't have a problem. Yeah, that was amazing.
No.
I don't have a problem. I have an alley, so I don't have a problem. Anyway, no, but one of the things I heard, Allie, about this before I throw it to Desi for this one is, for this one, somebody was saying maybe we would get an announcement about the Haunted Mansion, because again, the Haunted Mansion in California has been down. It's under construction because they are setting up a new entry queue. They're setting up a new exit shop. Apparently they're changing the ghosts, maybe. Do you think we'll hear an announcement about that tomorrow or no?
Well, seeing as we still don't know when Tiana is opening, I am not super optimistic. But my guess is they're doing, like, whenever we're starting Halloween, that it will probably be sometime around there. And then they're doing those Run Disney races that they're bringing new this year that are also Halloween themed. So it's all going to be happening in that era time for us.
Are you saying it's kind of not a cool idea to basically shutter two of your e-ticket attractions at the same time? Is that
no, not great. It's not great.
No, that's not a great thing. You get pretty excited about Halloween, Desi, don't you? Are you looking forward to some big announcements for the East Coast?
I do. I love Halloween. I don't know what Stephanie's talking about fall leaves. Is there something different about the leaves in fall? Because they look the same here year round.
Oh, that's right.
Also,
yes.
It doesn't feel like it's halfway to Halloween when Halloween starts in like 2 months here. So
yeah,
we're not 6 months away. We're like 2 months away.
August is when Halloween officially happens in Orlando, but they wait a little bit longer on the West Coast, so that's a good thing, right? And Oogie Boogie, like, when have the earliest Oogie Boogie bashes been? Usually
it's usually been September, like early September, but I feel like we're starting in August this year. I want to say I remember reading that and thinking, oh God, we're starting even earlier. I might be wrong, but
this is what I'm talking about. She's so excited, folks. She just is so excited. By the way, earlier when I said no one is listening, I meant no one at Disney is listening about your plea for the Inspire Key. We're listening. We hear you, but nobody at Disney is going, you know what, Allie? You're right. The Inspire Key should get first access to this. So I remember last year buying tickets for someone else and being a little bit sad for myself that I didn't get tickets to last year, because I'm buying tickets for someone else, and I'm like, here, because I had a Magic Key at the time, and that was sad. I would like to go back to Oogie Boogie Bash. I still say it's one of the best hard ticket events that's out there. So hopefully they're going to add more, and it'll be a good time. Next week is Mother's Day, so we will not be on the air for Mother's Day. We're taking Mother's Day off because 50% of our staff are mothers, and the rest have them or have a mother in their lives they need to take care of. So in advance to Allison and to Stephanie and to Desi, happy Mother's Day. Enjoy your day. Please be pampered and demand everything that you possibly can. No, thank you. I will take the kids' gifts, and then you will take them to the park, is what you basically need to say. And maybe your husband or the Mandalorian, whoever back there, can take them to Universal. So that'll be fun too. But so we're not going to be here. But Mother's Day in the park seems to be a thing that they celebrate. So there's a full list on our website of Mother's Day food and beverage coming to Walt Disney World, as well as a Mother's Day photo op at Disney Springs. And then also, that's not the same thing. There's also some brunches and things that are happening on property. Stephanie, have you ever spent Mother's Day at the parks?
I have not.
Aw. Well, Your husband should be making the calls right now and schedule it and making that happen. Desi, it's drivable for you. Has he ever like woken you up and said, "Hey, we're going to the most magical place on earth today"? You have.
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
we've gone
okay.
to Disney for Mother's Day before. I mean, if I'm the mother and Disney's my favorite place to go, then yeah, of course, of course we go to Disney on Mother's Day. Would I make a
If I'm the
special trip
mother.
to Disney? Would I make a special trip to Disney Springs just to take a picture with the mom sign? Probably not.
Yes.
But
Oh.
we went to Hollywood Studios for Mother's Day, and they had like an Incredibles setup, and they had some signs. This was a year or two ago. That was like, "I'm a super mom" or something like that, with a picture of Mrs. What is it? Elastigirl on it. So yeah, I've been. I enjoy going to the parks on my day. If my husband wants to go to Universal with the kids on Father's Day, then he can make that his choice. Doesn't mean I have to go.
What you need to tell him, though, is that the Grand Californian has a great buffet. So if he wants to take you out west to the Grand Californian for a buffet, that's a thing that's happening. Where are the Father's Day brunches and the buffets? Where? Just asking for a friend. Where
Pretzel and a
are
beer,
those?
man.
Great. Absolutely wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being with us tonight. Thank you so much to everyone who watches ParksCenter every Sunday night, except for next Sunday. We're going to be off because, again, Mother's Day. But you can go back and catch the last episode of ParksCenter if you get sad. We don't want you to be sad. But thank you to our WIGS members who are in the chat. We love our WIGS, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. You are the ones that make WDWNT great. We appreciate you. And also, if you want to know more about our family, you can go to WDWNT on Patreon, patreon.com/WDWNT to find out more. Also, we have Deep in the Plus this week. We're going to have the man who played Tony on Return from Witch Mountain and Escape to Witch Mountain. Ike Eisenman will be with us. He was with us to talk about the original Escape to Witch Mountain, and he'll be back to talk about Return from Witch Mountain and talk about being able to work with Christopher Lee and Betty Davis. And it's just such a joy to have him on. He was in Star Trek, one of the motion pictures. He was the original Sprout on the Jolly Green Giant commercials. The man has done so much, and we're just very fortunate to have him with us. So coming up, we had Solo a Star Wars Story that Nick and Desi and I did this past week. And that was pretty awesome. So if you guys want to go check that out at deepintheplus.com. This is the wrong card because it still says Epcot Becoming, but we're not going to do that one because that doesn't come out on Disney Plus till July. So Desi and I will be back to do Inside Out, and maybe that'll win us an opportunity to stay in the Inside Out house. Who knows?
Because Rob wants to live inside of a teenage girl's head.
I knew that was going to come back and get me. I don't know why I put that out there. That was a mistake. Again, thank you guys so much for being there. And if you got to go to Stage 89 this weekend, I hope you guys had a great time down at the WDWNT studios. We'll be here for Deep in the Plus on Wednesday night. Big night for that. We will be off next Sunday for ParksCenter, and then we'll be back full force again for more ParksCenter after that. So join us on Sunday nights at 9 p.m., and we appreciate you. Have a great week. It's going to be packed, and enjoy halfway to Halloween and all that stuff, and whatever Desi can make happen on her camera to bring a little bit more magic to your day. If you are a WIGS member, though, we do have a quick post show after this, so hang on. If you're not done with streaming for the weekend, we would love to have you hang out with us. So we will see you next time. Have a great week.
Come on.
Stephanie, your commitment is understood and appreciated.